Hello everyone, welcome to this special explainer crafted specifically for all you MAF201 diploma students out there. I'm absolutely thrilled to be exploring this with you today. If you've been searching for a cozy, structured revision session right out of your syllabus, well, you've hit the jackpot. I want you to imagine your favorite aesthetic pastel GoodNotes setup. Got it? That's exactly the vibe we're bringing to our session today. We are going to master a seriously vital topic: cost, volume, profit analysis, or CVP for short. You can think of CVP as the ultimate survival guide for literally any business owner. Seriously, if you want to know exactly how to keep a business from going under and actually map out a clear path to massive profits, this tool is pure magic. So go ahead and grab those pastel highlighters, get super comfortable, and let's jump right in.
Here is our game plan for today's explainer. We'll start off with a warm welcome to CVP, run through the essential rules and assumptions, figure out how to find our break-even point, and discover something called our margin of safety. After that, we're going to tackle a real-life calculation example together, and finally, wrap the whole thing up with some absolutely crucial exam tips. Sounds good? Let's go!
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, welcoming you to CVP Analysis, your new ultimate business survival tool.
So what exactly is cost, volume, profit analysis anyway? Well, at its core, CVP is a systematic method. It examines how changes in a business's activity, and by that I just mean the volume of output produced and sold, actually affect total sales revenue, expenses, and ultimately your net profit. It's just a brilliant decision-making tool. As a manager, you really don't want to just be guessing, right? You want to use CVP to avoid painful losses, precisely hit your target profits, and closely monitor performance. We're basically using it to answer a very practical, everyday question: what happens if our sales fluctuate?
Now class, I really need you to pay close attention to this next part because it clears up a massive misconception that costs students so many marks. A lot of people out there think CVP analysis and break-even analysis are the exact same thing. Let me be clear, they absolutely aren't. Break-even is just one tiny piece of the whole puzzle. It's simply finding that exact moment where your revenues equal your costs, meaning your profit is a big fat zero. But CVP analysis? That has way more significance. It lets us answer complex what-if scenarios. What if the selling price drops? What if our fixed costs suddenly go up? CVP gives us the whole strategic roadmap, not just the starting line.
Moving right along to Section 2, CVP Rules and Assumptions. Think of these as the rules of the accountant's game. And yes, a quick heads up, these are highly testable points.
Notice the accountant's CVP model we have here. Do you see how the total revenue and total cost lines are perfectly straight? That right there is the linear assumption at work. Now, in the messy real world, an economist might tell you, hey, those lines should curve because efficiencies and prices change, and they'd be right. But as accountants, to keep our CVP model functional and practical within a relevant range of output, we just assume a beautifully straight, linear relationship. It keeps all our calculations clean, and it gives us one single clear break-even point right where those two straight lines cross. Honestly, it's pretty elegant, isn't it?
But to make that linear graph work, we have to follow a strict set of rules. I highly recommend you highlight these essential assumptions in your notes right now. First up, we assume all other variables remain constant. That means if we change our sales volume, nothing else randomly shifts on us. Second, we are dealing with either a single product or a perfectly constant sales mix. Third, like we literally just saw, total costs and revenues are strictly linear. Fourth, we assume we can accurately divide every single cost we have into either fixed or variable categories. And finally, this entire analysis only applies to a short-term time horizon. We assume our fixed costs aren't going to suddenly jump up out of nowhere. All right, let's step into Section 3, finding the break-even point. This is what we call the zero-profit safe zone. To actually find that safe zone, we are going to introduce you to your new best friend, the mathematical approach. The formula is NP equals PX minus BX minus A. Let's break down those cute little letters so it makes total sense. NP stands for your net profit. P is your selling price per unit. X is the magical number of units you need to sell. B is your variable cost per unit. And A, that's your total fixed cost. Now, when we want to find the exact break-even point, we're looking for that exact moment we make zero profit, right? So we simply set NP to 0. And here's a massive tip. Once you memorize this single equation, you can solve almost any CVP problem by just plugging the numbers right in.
Now, let's talk about something that'll let you sleep at night. Section 4, your margin of safety.
This is literally the breathing room for your business.
Let's see how this builds perfectly on our break-even knowledge. The margin of safety, or MOS as we call it, is a business's cushion. It tells us exactly how much our sales can safely drop before we actually start bleeding money. To calculate the MOS in units, you just take your actual or budgeted sales units and you subtract the break-even point units. It's really just the gap between what you are currently selling and the bare minimum you need to survive. And if you want to find that margin of safety in ringgit, well, you simply take those MOS units and multiply them by the selling price per unit. It's seriously that straightforward.
Now, what's genuinely fascinating is how this profit volume chart perfectly visualizes what we've been talking about. Look closely at that bold diagonal line. Way over on the left side, it starts deep down in the gray loss area, totally below the zero line. But then, right exactly at the break-even point, right there at 6,000 units, it crosses the horizontal axis. Suddenly, bam, we're in the profit area. So your margin of safety is basically just how far to the right of that break-even point you are comfortably sitting right now.
All right, class. Crack those knuckles, because it is time for the boss battle. Section 5, a real-life calculation example. It's time to put all our new formulas to the ultimate test with our case study company, Al-Amin San Berhad. So Al-Amin produces a very popular supplement called Kakanda. Let's extract our magical variables directly from their data. The selling price, which is our P, is 40 ringgit. The variable cost, our B, is 15 ringgit. Their total fixed cost for the entire year, which is our A, is 550,000 ringgit. And right now, their actual sales are sitting pretty at 70,000 units. Make sure you write those numbers down on your pastel notepad, because we are about to put them to work.
First big question, what is their break-even point in units? Well, we take our favorite mathematical formula, and we set the net profit to 0. So 0 equals 40x minus 15x minus 550,000. When we simplify that down, we see that 40 minus 15 gives us a 25 ringgit contribution margin per unit. Move that 550,000 over to the other side, divide it by our 25 margin, and boom, we get 22,000 units. That means Al-Amin must sell exactly 22,000 bottles of Kakanda just to survive and cover all their costs. But hey, remember, they are actually selling 70,000 units right now. So, what does that make their margin of safety? We simply take their actual sales of 70,000, subtract that break-even point of 22,000 we just found, and we get 48,000 units. That is an incredibly massive, comfortable cushion. It literally means their sales could drop by 48,000 units and they still wouldn't be making a loss. They are sitting in a very, very safe position.
Now let's change things up. Imagine the boss walks into the office on Monday morning and says, "Hey, breaking even is cute and all, but I want to buy a yacht this year. I want a target net profit of 1.5 million ringgit. How in the world do we adjust our formula when NP is no longer 0, but a massive $150,000?
Honestly, it's beautifully simple. We just plug that 1,500,000 right into the NP spot in our trusty formula. So now 1,500,000 equals 40x minus 15x minus 550,000. We just add those 550,000 fixed costs over to the 1.5 million target profit, which gets us 2,050,000. Divide that giant total by our 25 ringgit margin, and the answer pops out, 82,000. To hit that dream yacht profit, the sales team needs to hustle and push 82,000 units of Kakanda. See how incredibly powerful this tool is for setting real business goals? We are in the final stretch now, class. Section 6, Exam Tips and Summary. Let's make absolutely sure you secure that A grade on your MAF201 paper.
So a highly testable point is how you evaluate a company's health, especially when you're comparing two different businesses in an exam question. I want you to always remember this golden rule. A lower break-even point is always better, because it means the company covers its costs much faster. But a higher margin of safety is better, because it means the company has a way larger cushion against falling sales. Lower BEP, higher MOS. Burn that concept right into your memory.
Over the years, I've noticed students often fall into the exact same traps when learning this. First, please do not confuse CVP analysis with just break-even analysis. Remember, BEP is just one single point, while CVP is the entire analysis. Second, be incredibly careful with your mathematical formula signs. It is P by minus B minus A. Do not accidentally add your costs together, it ruins the whole equation. And third, don't forget the short-term assumption.
In these exam questions, fixed costs do not fluctuate with volume. They stay perfectly, stubbornly constant.
Just to quickly summarize today's lovely revision session, CVP is your ultimate tool for planning profit. The mathematical approach, NP equals PX minus BX minus A, is your absolute best friend and can honestly solve almost anything. And finally, your margin of safety is that vital safety net that tells you exactly how far sales can drop before disaster strikes.
I always love ending these sessions with a bit of encouragement. Remember this: the higher your margin of safety, the stronger your business can withstand the storms of fluctuating sales. You've got this, class. You've completely mastered the linear models, the formulas, and the calculations today. I am so unbelievably proud of the focus you brought to this explainer. Before you close up those aesthetic notes of yours, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. The math you learned today isn't just to help you pass MA201. How will you use CVP analysis to save your very own next big business idea from failing? Think about it, crunch those numbers in your head, and always keep dreaming big. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.